Be Evelyn, 29, office manager. Started working here 3 years ago, slowly worked my way up to management. Always been passionate about workplace equality, but lately it's become my entire identity. Every conversation somehow circles back to gender dynamics and systemic oppression. Coworkers used to engage with my points. Now they just nod and try to change subjects. Monday morning, walking into office with my usual large coffee and stack of management books. Notice Gail from IT helping Sarah from accounting carry boxes to storage room. Immediately feel that familiar surge of righteous anger. This is exactly the kind of patronizing behavior that reinforces gender stereotypes. March over to intervene. Excuse me, what's happening here? Sarah looks confused. Oh, hi, Evelyn. Gail was just helping me move these old files. And why exactly do you think Sarah needs help with those boxes, Gail? Gail stops mid-lift, clearly annoyed. Because she asked me to help when I walked by. They're pretty heavy, and so you automatically assumed that because Sarah is a woman, she's incapable of handling her own responsibilities? Can see Gail's jaw clench, his face getting red. Are you serious right now? She literally asked for help. I would help anyone who asked. Would you, though? Or do you just feel compelled to rescue the helpless women in the office? Sarah tries to mediate. Evelyn, really? I just asked because... Sarah, don't you see how this perpetuates the myth that women are the weaker sex? That we need men to swoop in and save us? Gail slams down the box harder than necessary. This is ridiculous, Evelyn. I'm trying to be helpful, and you're turning it into some political statement. Everything is political, Gail. Every interaction reinforces or challenges existing power structures. Can see other employees starting to gather, watching the confrontation. Perfect opportunity to make my point to a wider audience. Spend next 15 minutes explaining to growing crowd how these seemingly innocent acts of chivalry are actually microaggressions. Talk about how opening doors, carrying things, offering technical help all send message that women are incompetent. Watch as male employees exchange glances, their expressions getting darker. Christian from sales speaks up, voice strained with frustration. So, what? We're supposed to just ignore when someone needs help? That seems pretty cold. You're supposed to treat women as equals, Christian. That means not assuming we need your assistance. Edwin from marketing jumps in, clearly agitated. But Gail literally said Sarah asked for help. How is helping someone who asks for it somehow sexist? Because the entire culture conditions women to ask for help instead of finding their own solutions. We need to break that cycle. Can see I'm losing them, but this is too important to back down. Decide this needs to be formalized into actual policy. That afternoon, call emergency staff. Meeting. Prepare detailed presentation about creating more equitable workplace. Room full of confused and increasingly hostile faces. Effective immediately, I'm implementing new workplace guidelines regarding assistance between colleagues. Pull up PowerPoint slide with official policy language. Spent 2 hours crafting perfect wording. Male employees are prohibited from offering unsolicited assistance to female colleagues. This includes but is not limited to carrying items, providing technical support, opening doors, offering physical help of any kind. Immediate explosion of angry voices. Gail stands up, face flushed with anger. Are you completely out of your mind, Evelyn? You're basically telling us we can't be decent human beings. You're telling us to ignore basic courtesy, adds Christian, his voice rising. This is absolutely insane. What if there's an emergency? Demands Robert from HR, looking genuinely concerned. What if someone gets hurt? Emergencies are obviously accepted, but day-to-day interactions need to change. Edwin stands up now, practically shaking with rage. This is the most backwards, divisive policy I've ever heard. You're creating hostile work environment. I'm creating an environment where women can thrive without being treated like children. Room erupts in angry arguments. Several male employees talking over each other, voices getting louder. This is discrimination against men, shouts Gail. You're punishing us for trying to be helpful, Christian adds. How is this even legal? Robert demands. Hold up hand for silence, feeling energized by their resistance. This proves how deeply ingrained their sexist attitudes are. Your anger proves exactly why this policy is necessary. You're upset because you're being asked to treat women as equals. More shouting, chairs scraping as people stand up. Michael from operations, usually quiet guy, stands up slowly. Evelyn, I've been working here for 8 years. I help everyone who needs help, regardless of gender. This policy makes me feel like you think I'm some kind of predator. It's not about predatory behavior, Michael. It's about unconscious bias and patronizing attitudes. But you're literally telling us we can't help our colleagues. How is that creating better workplace? Conversation continues for another hour. Male employees getting increasingly agitated, voices raised, clearly furious. Keep trying to explain concept of benevolent sexism, but they refuse to listen. Thomas from finance, red-faced and clearly livid, finally explodes. This is absolutely ridiculous. You're treating us like we're the enemy for basic human decency, and you're treating women like we're helpless. Don't you see the problem? The only problem I see is you turning normal workplace interactions into gender warfare. Meeting ends with half the male staff storming out. Feel vindicated by their extreme reactions. Clearly struck nerve because policy threatens their power dynamics. Next morning, arrive early to rearrange office furniture. Want to create more collaborative workspace. Start trying to move heavy conference table by myself. Thing weighs like 200 pounds, can barely budget. Gail walks by, stops, looks at me struggling, can see internal conflict on his face, starts to step forward, then catches himself. Oh, right. I'm not allowed to help women anymore. Keeps walking, leaving me red-faced and sweating. Spend 20 minutes trying different angles, managing to move table maybe 2 feet. Eventually, give up, decide to ask maintenance team later. Tuesday afternoon, printer in my office starts making horrible grinding noise. Completely beyond my technical abilities, need someone from IT. Call Gail since he's closest. Hey Gail, could you take a look at my printer? It's making weird sounds. Sorry, Evelyn, but according to your policy, I'm not supposed to provide technical support to female colleagues. This is different. This is your job. Actually, my job is maintaining the network and servers. Individual printer issues aren't technically my responsibility, and besides, wouldn't want to be patronizing by assuming you can't figure it out yourself. Can hear smugness in his voice, makes my blood boil. End up having to submit formal IT ticket. Wait 3 days for scheduled maintenance. Wednesday morning, delivery truck arrives with new office supplies. Boxes of paper, folders, various heavy items. Delivery guy dumps everything in lobby, says someone needs to sign and distribute. Look around for help. See Christian and Edwin chatting near elevator. Approach them with clipboard. Hey guys, could you help me get these supplies distributed to each floor? They look at each other, then back at me with barely concealed anger. Gee, Evelyn, I don't know, Christian says with obvious sarcasm. Wouldn't want to send message that women are incapable of handling their own responsibilities. This isn't the same thing. Isn't it though? Edwin interrupts, voice dripping with frustration. You literally told us not to offer assistance to female colleagues. But this is work-related. So was helping Sarah with those files, Christian snaps back, clearly still angry about Monday's confrontation. They walk away, leaving me with stack of 40-pound paper boxes. Spend entire morning making multiple trips up 3 flights of stairs, back aching, completely exhausted by lunchtime. Thursday, air conditioning unit in conference room starts leaking. Small flood forming under main presentation area. Need someone tall to check vents, maybe adjust something. Spot Robert and Michael discussing quarterly reports. Excuse me, could one of you check the AC vent? There's water everywhere. Robert looks up with expression of barely contained rage. Evelyn, I'm really trying to follow your guidelines here, but you keep asking us for help. This is facility maintenance. No. This is you, wanting us to fix problem because you can't reach high enough, Michael says coldly. That's completely different. Is it? Robert's voice rising again. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you want male colleagues to handle physical tasks that you're unable to do yourself. You're being deliberately obtuse. We're being deliberately compliant with your policy. Michael interrupts, voice sharp with anger. They continue their conversation, completely ignoring my situation. Have to call building maintenance, takes 4 hours to get someone up. Conference room unusable all day, important client meeting had to be moved. Friday afternoon, need to move filing cabinets from storage to make room for new equipment. Heavy metal cabinets, definitely two-person job. See Thomas and a couple other guys from accounting. Approach them hesitantly, knowing this won't go well. I hate to ask, but could someone help me move these cabinets? They're really heavy. Thomas looks up, face immediately hardening with anger. Are you kidding me right now, Evelyn? It's just what? Just another situation where suddenly your policy doesn't apply. His voice getting louder, attracting attention from other employees. You spent an hour lecturing us about how offering help to women is patronizing and sexist. You literally banned us from providing assistance. Other guys nodding, expressions hostile. And now, less than 1 week later, you're asking us to help you move heavy furniture. Do you see the problem here? Can feel other employees watching, some starting to whisper, face burning with embarrassment and anger. This is different. This is a specific request. Everything was a specific request, Thomas practically shouting now. Sarah specifically asked Gail for help, but apparently that was problematic because it reinforced gender stereotypes. More employees gathering, sensing confrontation. You can't have it both ways, Evelyn. Either women are strong and independent and don't need men's help, or they're not. I'm not saying women aren't strong. Then move the cabinets yourself, says Kevin, another guy from his department, voice cold with anger. But they're heavy. So were the boxes Sarah needed help with. So were the supplies you wanted us to carry. So was the conference table you were struggling with on Monday. Realize entire group of male employees has gathered, all looking furious. You want equality? Here's equality. Handle your own physical tasks. Spend next 2 hours trying to drag filing cabinets inch by inch. Manage to move them maybe 6 feet before giving up completely. Have to leave project unfinished, looking incompetent in front of entire office. Monday morning, bring in new office chair that needs assembly. Box clearly states 2-person assembly recommended. Set up in break room, start trying to figure out instructions, see Gail getting coffee, pretend to casually need help. Hey Gail, you're good with tools, right? Think you could help me figure out this chair? He stops, turns around with expression of pure fury. Are you seriously asking me to help you right now? It's just assembly. It's just another example of you expecting men to solve your problems. His voice echoing in break room, several people turning to stare. You spent weeks lecturing everyone about benevolent sexism and patronizing behavior. You implemented official policy banning us from offering assistance. Can see vein bulging in his forehead, clearly livid. And now you want me to help you because the task is too difficult for you to handle alone. Do you understand how hypocritical that is? I'm just asking for help with furniture assembly, and Sarah was just asking for help moving boxes, but somehow that was sexist, and this isn't. More employees gathering, situation escalating quickly. You can't pick and choose when your principles apply, Evelyn. Either stick to your policy or admit it was stupid. From the beginning. Storms out of break room, leaving me with partially assembled chair. Spend rest of day struggling with confusing instructions. Chair ends up wobbly and unstable, clearly assembled wrong. Tuesday, massive presentation for potential new client. Need to set up projection equipment, arrange seating for 20 people. Technology acting up, tables need rearranging. Deadline approaching fast. Swallow pride. Approach Edwin and Christian together. Look, I know things have been tense, but I really need help setting up for this presentation. They look at each other, then back at me with identical expressions of anger. Oh, now you need help, Edwin says mockingly. What happened to women not needing assistance from men? This is important client meeting. Everything is important, Evelyn, Christian interrupts, voice tight with frustration. But you made it very clear that offering help is patronizing and sexist. You didn't mean what? You didn't mean that women are strong and independent. You didn't mean that male assistance reinforces negative stereotypes. Can feel panic rising as clock ticks down. Please, I'm asking nicely. And we're politely declining, Edwin says coldly. Wouldn't want to send message that women are incapable of handling their responsibilities. They walk away, leaving me scrambling. Presentation setup, disaster. Projector never works properly. Seating arrangement awkward, client clearly unimpressed. Feel humiliated and furious. Wednesday afternoon, receive email about office renovations. Need to clear out supply closet by end of week. Dozens of heavy boxes, shelving units, equipment. Massive physical undertaking. Corner Michael and Robert after their meeting. I know you guys are upset with me, but this renovation deadline is non-negotiable. I need help clearing that closet. Robert's face immediately darkens with anger. Evelyn, I cannot believe you're asking us this. It's a big job. It's your job, Michael interrupts harshly. You're the office manager. Managing the office is your responsibility. But there's heavy lifting involved. So? You've spent weeks telling us that assuming women can't handle physical tasks is sexist. Robert jumping in, voice rising with frustration. You literally said that offering to help women carry things perpetuates myths about female weakness. This is different. How? Michael demands, clearly furious. How is this any different from every other time you've asked for help this week? Because it's unrealistic to expect one person. It was unrealistic to expect Sarah to move those filing boxes alone. It was unrealistic to expect you to fix that printer or move that conference table or assemble that chair. Both men staring at me with undisguised anger. But in all those cases, you insisted that accepting help would be admitting weakness. So admit weakness or handle it yourself. They leave me standing in hallway. Deadline. Looming. Spend entire evening after work trying to clear closet. Manage to move maybe half the items. Completely exhausted. Thursday morning, arrive at office to find angry email from building management. Renovation crew arriving tomorrow. Closet must be completely empty. Still 20 plus heavy boxes and metal shelving units to move. Gather entire male staff for emergency meeting. Look, I know we've had disagreements, but this renovation deadline is non-negotiable. I need everyone's help clearing that closet today. Room full of angry, hostile faces. Thomas stands up first, voice shaking with rage. This is unbelievable, Evelyn. Absolutely unbelievable. What do you mean? What I mean is that you've spent the last month treating us like sexist pigs for trying to be helpful, and now you're demanding we help you. Other voices joining in, anger building. You humiliated Gail for helping Sarah, Christian shouts. You banned us from offering assistance. You told us that. Helping women with physical tasks reinforces negative stereotypes, Robert adds, voice tight with fury. And now you want us to bail you out because you can't handle your own job responsibilities, Edwin jumps in. Room erupting in angry voices, everyone talking over each other. Kevin stands up, face red with anger. You know what, Evelyn? You were right about one thing. Women are strong and independent and don't need help from men. So prove it, Thomas adds coldly. Clear that closet yourself. But it's impossible for one person. Then you should have thought about that before implementing your ridiculous policy, Gail says, voice dripping with anger. More shouting, everyone expressing weeks of built-up frustration. You can't have it both ways, someone yells from the back. Either you're equal or you're not, shouts another voice. Meeting dissolves into chaos, men filing out one by one. Left standing alone, facing impossible deadline. Spend entire day struggling with heavy boxes and metal shelving. Managed to clear maybe 75% of closet, body aching and exhausted. Renovation crew arrives Friday morning to half-finished job. Get written up by building management for non-compliance. Friday afternoon, sitting in office nursing sore back and wounded pride. Email from regional director requesting meeting next week to discuss workplace policy concerns. Apparently, multiple complaints filed about my management approach. Gail appears in doorway, expression unreadable. Got a minute to talk? Gesture to chair across from desk, curious about his agenda. Look, Evelyn, I wanted to clear the air about something. If this is about the policy, it's about basic human decency, he interrupts, voice serious but controlled. When I helped Sarah with those boxes, I wasn't thinking about her gender. I was thinking about being a decent coworker. Lean back in chair, feeling defensive. But don't you see how that perpetuates? No, I don't see that at all. What I see is someone who's so focused on gender politics that she's forgotten how to treat people like human beings. His voice getting more intense, frustration bleeding through. You turned simple acts of courtesy into political statements. You made us feel like monsters for trying to be helpful. I was trying to create equality. You created division. You created hostility. You made everyone angry and resentful. Can see other employees gathering outside office, listening to conversation. And then, when you needed help, suddenly all your principles went out the window. Voice rising now, anger coming through. You spent weeks lecturing us about patronizing behavior, then immediately started asking for the exact same assistance you'd banned us from offering. Those situations were different. No, they weren't. They were exactly the same. The only difference was that suddenly you needed help. Thomas appears in doorway, clearly still furious from earlier. Can I add something to this conversation? Wave him in, feeling outnumbered but determined to defend position. Evelyn, I've worked in offices for 15 years. I've always helped colleagues who needed assistance regardless of gender, race, age, whatever. But that's exactly the problem. No, the problem is you assuming that courtesy equals sexism. The problem is you turning workplace collaboration into gender warfare. Edwin and Christian joining the growing crowd in doorway. You want to know what's really patronizing? Edwin calls out, voice tight with anger. What's patronizing is assuming that men only help women because we think they're weak. What's patronizing is banning normal human interactions because of your ideological agenda, Christian adds. Feel surrounded, under attack from all sides. Michael pushes into room, expression serious. Evelyn, I want you to really think about what happened this week. I tried to implement progressive workplace policy. You tried to social engineer normal human behavior based on your personal political beliefs. His voice getting louder, frustration evident. And when that policy inconvenienced you, when you needed assistance, suddenly it didn't apply anymore. Robert joining the conversation now, voice cold with anger. Do you understand how hypocritical that looks? Do you see why we're all furious? You're furious because you're being challenged to examine your unconscious biases. We're furious because you're a hypocrite, Thomas explodes. Room falls silent at his outburst, tension thick. We're furious because you treated us like sexist monsters for basic courtesy, then immediately expected that same courtesy when you needed it. Several voices agreeing, murmur of angry consensus. Kevin appears in doorway, voice shaking with rage. You know what the real irony is, Evelyn? You claim to be fighting for equality, but you've created the most unequal situation possible. What do you mean? I mean that, according to your policy, we can't help women, but women can still ask men for help whenever they need it. Other voices joining in. Yeah, how is that equal? Someone calls out. Sounds like special treatment to me, adds another voice. Feel cornered, attacked from all angles. You're all missing the point. No, you're missing the point, Gail interrupts, voice hard with anger. The point is, that you implemented discriminatory policy based on your personal ideology, then violated that policy the moment it became inconvenient for you. More employees gathering in hallway, entire situation spiraling out of control. Christian steps forward, face red with fury. And now you're sitting here acting like the victim, like we're the unreasonable ones for following your rules. I never said you were unreasonable. You banned us from helping our colleagues. You turned basic human decency into thought crime. His voice echoing through office, clearly livid. And when we followed your policy exactly as written, you got angry at us for not violating it on your behalf. Edwin nodding vigorously. You can't have it both ways, Evelyn. Either your policy makes sense, or it doesn't. Either women need help sometimes, or they don't, Michael adds. Either workplace assistance is sexist, or it isn't, Robert concludes. Feel completely overwhelmed, surrounded by hostile faces. Thomas steps closer to desk, voice low and dangerous. But here's what really makes us angry, Evelyn. It's not just the hypocrisy. It's the fact that you never considered how your policy would affect workplace dynamics. Other voices joining in, building to crescendo. You never thought about emergency situations, someone calls out. You never considered team projects, adds another voice. You just imposed your ideology without thinking about consequences, Kevin says angrily. Gail stepping forward again, voice intense with frustration. And when those consequences affected you personally, when your work suffered because of your policy, suddenly the policy was negotiable. That's exactly what happened. You spent 5 days asking for the exact assistance you'd banned us from providing. Room full of angry, resentful faces. Suddenly realize how completely I've lost control of situation. Policy meant to improve workplace has created hostile environment. Every male employee clearly furious, unified against me. Robert speaks up, voice calm but cold. Evelyn, I think it's time for some honest self-reflection. Your policy wasn't about equality. It was about control. Other voices murmuring agreement. It was about imposing your worldview on everyone else, Edwin adds. It was about making us feel bad for trying to be decent human beings, Christian continues. Kevin stepping forward, voice shaking with suppressed anger. And when that control inconvenienced you, when your worldview made your life harder, suddenly it didn't matter anymore. Feel tears of frustration building, but refuse to show weakness. You're all completely missing the broader point about systemic inequalities. No, we're not missing anything, Thomas interrupts harshly. We understand perfectly. You want to lecture us about equality while expecting special treatment. His voice getting louder, anger building. You want to ban us from helping women, but demand we help you whenever you need it. You want to have your cake and eat it too. Entire room erupting in angry agreement. Gail stepping closer, voice intense. Here's what's going to happen, Evelyn. We're going to continue following your policy exactly as written. No assistance to female colleagues, regardless of circumstances. Cold smile spreading across his face. Since that's what you wanted, that's what you'll get. Other men nodding, expressions hostile. Every time you ask for help, we'll remind you of your own rules, Edwin says coldly. Every time you struggle with physical task, we'll quote your policy back to you, Christian adds. Kevin stepping forward with satisfied expression. You wanted to prove that women don't need help from men. Consider it proven. Room slowly emptying, employees filing out one by one. Left sitting alone, facing consequences of own actions. Realize with growing horror that situation is completely untenable. Can't perform job duties without occasional assistance. Can't rescind policy without admitting total failure. Male employees united in their anger and resentment. Weekend spent agonizing over options. Monday morning brings email from regional director. Formal investigation into discriminatory workplace policies and hostile work environment complaints. Tuesday meeting with director results in official reprimand. forced to rescind policy and issue formal apology. But damage already done. Male employees continue following original policy out of spite. Workplace atmosphere poisoned by weeks of conflict. Realize with crushing certainty that ideological purity has destroyed professional credibility. Every interaction now viewed through lens of my hypocrisy. Simple requests for assistance met with cold reminders of own rules. What started as crusade for equality became demonstration of entitled expectations. Ended up proving opposite of intended point. Showed that beneath all the rhetoric about independence, still expected men to solve problems when convenient. 6 months later, transferred to different department. Policy officially rescinded but unofficial consequences permanent. Male colleagues polite but distant, helpful only when absolutely required. Reputation as hypocritical ideologue follows everywhere. Looking back, realize fatal flaw wasn't in principle but in application. Tried to engineer human nature through policy. Forgot that principles only matter when they're inconvenient. Learned too late that equality means giving up special treatment, not just demanding it for others. Understand now that true workplace equality comes from mutual respect, not rigid rules. That courtesy and assistance flow both ways, regardless of gender. That banning kindness in name of progress just makes everyone angry and resentful. But lesson learned too late to repair professional relationships or workplace dynamics. Ideology without wisdom becomes tyranny. Principles without consistency become hypocrisy. And hypocrisy, once exposed, destroys everything it touches.